There are actually young women out here that are looking at Gypsy Rose Blanchard as a role model. I am so upset, y'all. I was scrolling through my FYP page and came across a clip. I assume it was from Gypsy Rose show, Life After Lockup, whatever the hell it's called, right? And this younger girl is at the book signing, Gypsy's book signing, with her mother. Now, apparently, this young lady and her mother, they buy into the whole Gypsy was a victim of Munchausen by proxy, and Gypsy had been through some horrible things. You know, the younger lady here, she doesn't even look old enough to read the FOIA documents, to be on YouTube, to look through any of the, documents from the case, any of that. So she doesn't know. The mom, apparently, she buys into the story that Gypsy's tried to sell too. And that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion and their beliefs. That's fine. She just found no reason to ever take the time to look into anything. So, this young lady, I don't even know how old she is, she looked to be pretty young, goes on to say about how Gypsy has been through a lot of the things that she has been through. And this misguided young lady goes as far as to say that she looks at Gypsy with admiration and as a role model. This made me so sad to see that our youth are looking at this convicted unaliver as a role model. Now, regardless of what this young lady's mother believes, like I said, obviously she believes the story, and that's fine. But why is she not taking her daughter? I think it was her daughter anyways. I don't know, because I don't watch the show. I just see the clips here and there. But why has she not taken this young lady to the side and say, yeah, honey, we know she went through some horrible things. She was a victim of Munchausen by proxy. Her mom did this, that, and the third. That's horrible. But we cannot look at her as a role model. We cannot look at her with admiration, because regardless of what her mother did, I don't believe she did any of it, but that's beside the point. Regardless of what she did, it is never all right to take a life. She was, 23 years old. She could have walked out that door. I understand, in the cases of victims, a lot of times they're afraid to leave. I understand. But it's not like, explain this to a child. It's not like Dee Dee was coming at her to attack her in that moment and she had to defend herself. There was none of that. That was not the case. So what is wrong? Why would you not tell your child this is not a role model because what she did was wrong? It really was heartbreaking to see that the youth in this country is looking at that as a role model. I've been saying it all along. This is the message that Lifetime is sending to these kids. And it's not going to be long before we see in the news that some younger female, maybe even a male, a younger person, let's just put it that way, a younger person is going to do this same heinous thing that Gypsy did, with the belief that they too can go serve their little 10 years or less, like Gypsy's case, 8.5, whatever she did, and come out and be a celebrity and achieve fame. That's the message that's being sent to the youth of America by putting this woman on a pedestal, by giving Gypsy Rose Blanchard a platform, a reality show, book deals. How can the people at Lifetime think, and Melissa G. Moore, whatever her name is, and Michael Stanfield, how can they even believe that this is okay? Even Michael Stanfield did not believe Gypsy's. I'm sure he did not believe Gypsy's story, because why at first was he going to use the battered spouse syndrome type deal? Until they stumbled across this Munchausen by proxy. He even said that had she not taken that plea deal, she would have been in prison for the rest of her life. Why, when she was questioned by that detective, when she was very first interrogated, why did she not come out with it then? Why in court when they asked why she did she not come out with that because my mother was doing this, this, and this to me? None of it was ever said by her until, until after she comes out or starts selling her story, basically. That's when all these details were fabricated in her mind. Like I said before, I have another theory. Now, I'm not usually into the conspiracy theories, and I may be way off base on this. But I do believe that there's a big possibility that perhaps Dee Dee said, Gypsy, you're getting older. We can't keep lying about your age. We can't keep basically scamming these charities to get things. We can't keep playing off this sickness. And I'm convinced Gypsy is the one that likes to be sick. Gypsy suffers from Munchausen syndrome. She likes the attention of being sick. There's no Munchausen by proxy. It's straight Munchausen. Gypsy has straight Munchausen, in my opinion, allegedly. In my opinion. This is not facts I'm stating. This is my opinion. But Dee Dee could have tried to call the whole thing off, and that could be another thing, part of what angered Gypsy into talking Nick into doing what she had him do. I think there's a huge possibility. But back to my original point. Is this what we want as a role model for the youth? I don't think so. She needs to be stopped. She needs to be taken off this pedestal that she's on. And, and then Gypsy has the audacity to talk about other women that have committed crimes. The audacity to talk a prison was made for this one and this. If you said what you said, why did you delete the video? Because she knew she was bogus for talking about these people. And to talk about people having no remorse, no guilt. It sounded like she was talking about herself. But stop watching the show. If you unfollow her, if you believe all these lies, look at the FOIA documents. Everything she has said is a lie. It can all be misproven. Just go into it with an open mind and look into it. That's all I'm saying.